Hello and welcome to the Blindseyepodcast, the podcast discussing everything you did and didn't want to know about being blind. My name is Connor, and this week I'm going to show you some of the special apps I use to do everyday things. So, apps that are specifically built for somebody who's blind or has poor vision in order to get around or just do general life admin. I have some clips of some of them in terms of me using them. So I have that recorded, so you'll be able to listen to some of them, but others, just the nature of the app means I can't really let you listen to me use it in real time. So I'm going to just do my best to describe what it is and how it works. Usual disclaimer, just thoughts and opinions. Also with this, there's plenty of other apps out there, so I'm not paid by anybody, I wish. But these are just the ones that I use and the ones that I find useful myself. Alright, so when it comes to apps, the first one that I use quite a bit and that I was quite happy when it was developed was an app called Aira. So it's spelled A-R-I-A. And Aira essentially is a professional at the other end of the phone that can use your phone camera to help you find things in your environment. So as an example, if I drop something on the ground and I can't feel it, I can call Aira. It'll send me through to an agent. They're all living in America. And they will be able to use my phone camera so that they can see on their end what my phone camera is seeing. And they can help me find things. So that can be used for anything. It could be used to read a book or recipes or to tell what it is that you have in your hand if you're not quite sure, or in order to find specific information. Like the other day, I got somebody to read the numbers that were on my photo ID card because obviously I couldn't do it and I was at home on my own, so they were able to help me with that. The neat thing about Aira is that the people on the other end are trained in how to give good directions to somebody who's blind. So there are other apps like Be My Eyes where it's volunteers, which is great, and everybody respects people who do volunteer. But with Aira, these people get paid and they've been trained in how to give clear, efficient instructions to somebody who can't see to make the experience as seamless as possible. The other neat thing that Aira can do is take photos. So because it has access to your phone camera, if you give them permission, they can take a photo on your behalf if you need it. So I know people who might use that for selfies or for whatever reason you might need to take a photo. An example of that for myself was I was walking to the shops and I found that there was quite a bit of earth that had slid away from the side of the footpath, and there was like a bit of an ankle breaking drop off. And so I wanted to report that to the council. The council asks if you can upload an attachment of what it is that you're complaining about. So I went up to that corner, I called Aira. They were able to help me point my camera at the ankle breaking section of the footpath, and they took the photo for me, and then they emailed me the photo so that then I could pass that on to the council to get it fixed. Another great thing they can do is order an Uber for you. So, especially with Ubers, because they aren't general taxis, and taxis are very obvious in the way they're marked and things like that, that can be a little bit harder to catch, especially if you're in an unfamiliar situation. So, what they can do is they can order an Uber on your behalf, and they will stay with you, looking through your camera to see if the car has come into camera shot that is on their end of the screen who has accepted the job. So they can help you do that, which is really, really handy. The other very neat thing that they can do is see you on a map if you give them access. So as an example, I think last year I got off at a train station, and when I got off the train, I wasn't quite sure which way the steps were to get off the platform because it wasn't a station I go to all that often. So I called Aira, and I have this lanyard around my neck that the phone sits in. So then my hands are free, and then the phone camera is at chest height and pointing forward. And I just had my headphones in, speaking to the person. They would give me directions. But anyway, so They helped me get off the platform, and then I needed to go to one specific side of the station, but I kind of got turned around and didn't know which way I was facing because it wasn't a station I go to regularly. And they were able to say to me, okay, which way are you heading? Are you heading for the Great Western Highway side, or are you heading for the other side? And I was able to say, I'm looking for the Great Western Highway side, and they're able to see on the map that that's the way I was heading. So even though they're in America and they don't know what any of these streets are, they were able to help direct me to where I wanted to go and see me do that in real time to know that I was heading in the right direction. So that's the real benefit of Aira. As I said, there is another really big company called Be My Eyes, which is essentially the same setup, but Be My Eyes is done by volunteers. So somebody who has an iPhone or smartphone might decide, hey, I wouldn't mind being on call or helping out somebody who's blind in need in a situation like that. So you sign up to Be My Eyes, you put in your location and your preferred language, and then if you make a call, if there's any volunteers on the line from around the world who speak your language, they will connect you, and again, they can use your phone camera to be able to assist you. So I know lots of people who do that. I think I did that once with a credit card or a debit card where I dropped it on the ground, and because it's so fine and thin, I couldn't actually feel where it was, and I needed to go out within 20 minutes, and I'd ordered a taxi and everything, so I needed that card, and I was able to use that app to get somebody to look through my phone camera, and they were able to tell me, okay, yep, you're just missing it, here it is. So those two apps, I probably use Aira a little bit more, but the speciality of those two apps really comes in handy for somebody like myself. So the other app that I use, which I'm going to let you listen to me doing a quick little demonstration of now in a second, is an app called Blindsquare. Now Blindsquare, as far as I'm aware, is based off that old app everybody used to use about 10 years ago called Foursquare, where, you know, people would check in at different establishments to show off on social media where they were. So Blindsquare is the same thing. It's a GPS app, but it allows you to target as a pedestrian specific establishments or locations that you plot and save yourself. So for example, I can go into the menu and click food, and it will tell me all the food establishments in the area of my phone and in what clock direction they are and how many meters away they are. So I'm going to let you listen to me use that now so you can kind of get a bit of an idea of what it is that I experience, and hopefully that'll be interesting.
RGA Collagen, 320 meters at 7 o'clock. Shepherd Street Oval, 1 kilometer at 5 o'clock. Your Healthy Smile Dentist, 1 kilometer southwest. Crossing, 1.1 kilometers southwest. Street Clare Soccer Fields, 1.1 kilometers west.
So that was Blindsquare, and I find that app really useful. I've used it for many things. So, for example, you can set an alert on it if you're on a train that it will ding when you're 100 meters from the platform, that you know the train is pulling in, so you can get ready and get to the door to get off the train in time, so you aren't one of those people who gets caught on a train because the doors have closed too quickly. The other neat thing you can do is you can simulate a location. So before I went to Germany and to America, I punched in the addresses of the two hotels that I was staying in, and from my own bedroom here, I was able to look at the establishments around that hotel in Germany and find out what was nearby. So before I went to San Francisco, I was able to go in there and see that there was a chemist right across the road from the hotel, and it told me that it was a Walgreens chemist, for example, or that there was a diner nearby, or there was a bar. So I was able to do a little bit of a recce in terms of establishments nearby, instead of me having to find that out when I got there, or not knowing because I couldn't see them, even though I was walking right past them. So the next app I'm going to show you is called Soundscape, and this is made by Microsoft. Now, this is very similar to Blindsquare, but you can kind of mark your own locations. It's more based on that. They have started bringing in establishments that are already on the system, but It works very similarly to that, except you also set a beacon. So with this, if you're wearing headphones, a beacon will ding in the soundscape. So if the beacon is on the left hand side of you, then you know that what you're looking for, what you've marked down on the map, is in that direction. So as you swing around, you'll always know wherever the beacon is in terms of your soundscape between your ears, that's where you're ultimately heading to give you some kind of direction. So you'll hear that now when I give it a go.
Search for a place or address. Search field. Places nearby. Button. Places near. All places. Button. Public transit. Button. Food and drink. Button. Things to do. Button. Groceries. Button. Banks and ATMs. Button. Essential services. Button. Essential services. Button. Bank. Groceries. Button. Groceries. Heading. RGA Colleton, 330 metres north, 62 Hewitt Street, Colleton, New South Wales 2760. Actions available. Back button. Location details. Heading. RGA Colleton, 330 metres north, 62 Hewitt Street, Colleton, New South Wales 2760. Save as marker. Button. Start audio beacon. Button. Places nearby. Button. Beacon, 330 metres.
The last app I have to show you is an app called Seeing AI. I believe that's made by Microsoft as well. And Seeing AI is a really neat app because it does several things. So again, it uses the phone's camera, but you can set it to different things. So it can scan barcodes on grocery items. It can recognize people if you have those people saved into your phone, into the app. It can recognize different currencies. So if you put the notes up to the camera, it will tell you what you have, which I use in America, which is really, really handy. It can read short amounts of text, which is a little bit more dodgy because the camera placement has to be really perfect. But it can do all these things. It can even tell you if there's a light on in the room for people who have no vision at all and might not know. So you'll hear me now going through each of the different settings just to show you what they sound like, but you'll also hear it recognize my face through the camera.
Currency, adjustable, product, person, short, alt, document, scene, preview, color, preview, gray, handwriting, preview, light, handwriting, preview, color, scene, document, short tag, person. Take picture, button, quick help, button, take face recognition, button, switch to front camera, button, keypad, corner near center, less than a meter away.
So yeah, that was Seeing AI, and I also think that's a really, really neat app. There are plenty of other apps. There are apps that will read receipts to you. There's an app that I've been using a little bit recently that helps with the QR code check-ins for, being COVID safe and all that jazz when you're going into establishments, because obviously that's a bit hard when you don't know where the actual QR codes are and you don't know whereabouts on the piece of paper they are or whatever. So the app for that, for example, will make a sound once it can see the QR code, but it'll also give you sort of radar dings, and they speed up or slow down depending on how close you are to getting the code in frame, and they will help you do that. So there's lots of stuff out there, but these are basically the main ones that I use most of the time. So I just thought it would be worth sharing them and showing you how they work. Thanks very much for listening. If you like, please share. It always helps if somebody shares, or if you think there's somebody who would be interested in some of the stuff I talk about or whatever. You don't know how much just a share or a like helps the podcast if you enjoy what I do. So as usual, you can get in touch with me by emailing blindseyepodcast@gmail.com. That's BLINDSEYE podcast@gmail.com. I'm on Twitter @BlindsEyePod. I'm on Facebook and Instagram if you search for Blindseye Podcast. And I also finally got my act together and got myself an actual web address. So I'm also to be found at blindseyepodcast.com. And I will be back to speak to you next week. Cheers.